Hi, everybody. Go ahead and get started. Whoa, that was loud. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Especially appreciate people coming out on a beautiful summer day. I promise you, we will get you out in time to get to Frosty Freeze before they close. Actually, well before that, so don't even worry about it. This is a really important public workshop. Oh, I should introduce myself. I know we all have our name tags, but I'm Melissa Welch, and I'm the chair of the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee for Middletown. And I'm also there representing the Conservation Commission here in Middletown. So the great thing about this exercise tonight is that we've already done so much of the work for you. So as you're going to see around the room, we've got the various elements of the comprehensive plan. We've started to do a lot of work, or we have done a lot of work kind of sketching them out. Tonight, it's going to be about prioritizing, and that's where you come in. We're going to ask you to think about what are the things that are most important to you. And I know that's going to be hard because you're going to want to put stickers on everything. And I'm going to tell you, you're not allowed to. So please follow the rules. I want to introduce our very valuable consultants here tonight. We have Steve from Stantec and Phil. They're going to be walking you through this exercise, and also Alana, thank you, in the back. And they're going to be explaining everything that we're going to do tonight. And it's going to be a great opportunity to make your impact felt on what the priorities are for our town. So again, thank you so much. And I also want to do a huge thank you to Ron and Anita in our planning department. They have done so much work behind the scenes to get all of this done, and really appreciate that. And also all the members of our Comprehensive Plan Update Committee, which you guys have done a lot of great work. And as your reward, you get to skip the next two meetings for July and August. And we come back in September while our consultants are doing all the hard work. So thank you all. And did I forget anything?
Nope, I
You're
think
good?
that was great.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for coming, especially considering it's going to be our upteenth wet Saturday, so, and you're giving up a great, night. So we understand they're limited, but this is, as Melissa said, this is important. The agenda for this evening, I'll just do a kind of a fairly quick, community engagement recap because we've had quite a bit of events and we've gotten a lot of churn out on that. And then I'll go through the vision and goals. And well, actually, that's actually Phil's jumping in right there. And then we're talking about, the future land use. It's one of the maps over there, the place types. That is something that's coming, but the conversations and your input tonight will help shape the future land use component of this, which is a big part of an updated comprehensive plan. And then, of course, the primary part of tonight is just hearing from you together. So in terms of, as we said, we are well on our way. And I'm assuming everyone can hear me, but we worked through at the beginning with the existing conditions. Then we worked with the community to do the vision and the goals. And now we are developing the policies, and we are working, the actions come underneath the policies. We'll probably repeat this. That's the highest level of detail. Tonight, we're really looking at the policies to get your input, and then the actions are the specific items underneath. And then, as we are going to be working all summer long, writing and developing the actual plan document and the implementation plan, and that all comes together. And we will come back, again, in front of the community when we get to that stage. And so, as I was saying, all these, I forgot, I should have clicked Phil. Thank you very much. So the vision, as I just said, from all of the online survey, the committee meetings, all of that. And now we've got them, you'll see them tonight. And this is where we're getting your feedback. And really, as I said, we'll, develop and revise to create the actual plan. And that will be in the fall when we come back for that. So community engagement, these are all of the, activities we've done to date. We started with the housing element through a separate grant from the state. That's how we got involved. And then we've moved on to do the entire plan. We had the housing workshop. Then we went into the visioning forum for all of this. Everything we do in person, we also mirror online with surveys because we know how difficult it is for many people to, be here in person on a work night, parents, others, et cetera. So we want to make sure that we get the input online. We will do the same for this effort as well. And of course, the monthly committee meetings that we've been participating in, I mean, those have really shaped it, and the committee has been great, just, really being the ones to help us understand and to really bring out the details of all of these and to make it, Middletown specific. So it's been a really great committee. I just have to emphasize that, over, 700 individual inputs, which is for a community this size, that's a good amount. So we're excited about that, and particularly the survey responses, and we're still going. So we will continue to keep pushing this. And I'll just do the plug right now to anyone. If you know friends, family, it's easy to get to the website and push and have them try to weigh in, do the exact same exercises essentially that you're doing tonight. And that can really help, again, bolster and help prioritize from the community's perspective, which is what we're always looking to do. So really, what are we looking at? The three highlights: the recreation and open space, housing, and natural resources. This has been a constant throughout the process. Whether it's a survey, whether it's in person, those are the ones that are constantly coming out on top, and obviously helps us understand, and we may see it again tonight in terms of what should be, where are the priorities coming. As Melissa said, and we'll say it again, the thing about a comprehensive plan, in its name, it is comprehensive. There are all of the different elements. We often say a community can do anything within the comprehensive plan, but being able to do everything all at once is not feasible from a fiscal standpoint and just simply from implementation. So as we shape the near, mid, and long-term, strategies, policies and strategies and action items, what comes first, it very much can be shaped by what the community is saying is most important for you. The other, theme that came out without a doubt is the family-friendly, the family-oriented aspect of Middletown, and that is just, something that everyone really cherishes, and again, helps begin to shape, the policies that are coming forward. The middle one on there, the affordable, safe housing, as we went through in detail on the housing component in the beginning. That also has just been a constant, and I think everyone here in this room understands the fact that housing has essentially doubled in not that many years. Housing costs. There is a real mismatch between, what people possibly are in and maybe whether or not they want to stay there, but they don't have choices in other types of housing. We kept hearing that. So those became big pushes to this. And what we also, always want to say is, affordable is sometimes people think affordable is just a lower income component. What we've found very much is affordable in terms of housing is, meaning you're paying less than 30% of your income, and affordable from that sense spans almost all income levels in a community. So it really is about, creating new housing options that can really meet the pieces. So that is a big piece. And then of course, the coastline, the beaches, I think it's the next slide, and the resiliency, which is a new element in a comprehensive plan for Rhode Island since the last comprehensive plan was done, was a big piece. So again, beaches, you can see it down at the bottom. Oh, it doesn't show up, but again, just the kind of the word game, but the beach, more people were saying beach. And, these are all of the places that, are most loved. And when we talk about the place types, and Phil will be facilitating over there, that, all of these begin to shape the places that we're preserving, places that we're protecting, places that need more help. All of that becomes a piece. But really the natural beauty, the scenery, the agriculture, all of those components, really are what, people are thinking of when they are thinking of the community. And, from that is how we actually build the vision. There's also the opposite side of it. And, there are areas that need improvement. I don't think anyone would disagree with that top one, the fact that we have, traffic issues here, and that is a major component of this. And again, and that is just the traffic, the congestion, but also the safety from pedestrians, from bikers. All of those components are just critical to having a safe environment, and also just sort of improving some of the public spaces to really, increase the quality of the public realm. And but that is just, updated, improved benches, lighting, pedestrian level lighting, all of the components to really make places special and unique to the community. So these are the areas that we definitely heard about. And again, you will see what the community told us, and what needs to be improved in the policies around the room. And again, we just want to hear your opinion on this. And, short-term rentals, all of those components were pieces that we've seen, at the Second Beach facility is a very difficult one to improve, but we know that there could be some improvements there. So all of these pieces we've been hearing. And from that, Phil, are you coming up and starting with the vision right now? So I did have the easy job tonight. He knows more at this level of detail. He's the right.
Thank you very much, Steve. My name's Phil Chafing, and I'm the project manager for our Stantec team that's been working with the town and the committee since the beginning of the year, and actually late last year on this. And so this next section now is taking what we heard in the first round of engagement that Steve just summarized, and how that has now filtered down to the vision and the goals, which we're asking for your feedback on tonight. To just talk a little bit about the structure of the plan, and Steve started to talk about this. There's an overall vision for the plan, which is intentionally a broad aspirational statement of what the community would like to see Middletown be like at the end of this 10-year planning horizon. So it doesn't necessarily describe exactly what Middletown is like today, but it is kind of future focused and aspirational. Then there are a series of goals for each of the plan element topics. The goals are a little bit more detailed. Those are kind of the desired outcomes tied to each of the plan elements that we'll talk about. Underneath that, the next level are the policies. Those are statements that really kind of guide at the town staff level, whether that's planning board, elected officials, or town staff, kind of gives them direction as they are making decisions of where to allocate budget, how to allocate staff time, that sort of thing. And then the most detailed level are the actions. And those are pretty specific and measurable steps along the way to help accomplish the policies and the goals. So that's really kind of the meat of the plan. That's the implementation focus side of it. So tonight we're focused on the vision, the goals, and the policies. The overall vision statement for the plan, and this is looking at the current plan's vision statement and then revising and adapting it based on what we heard from the community over the last several months. It says that Middletown will preserve its quality of life for all generations as a safe, welcoming, and resilient community, and goes on to then talk about some of the other specific things that we heard were important to people. So natural resources, historic and cultural heritage, local economy. That was one that a lot of people were focused on in terms of the jobs that are here, the wage level of those jobs, housing, transportation, education, and then sound and collaborative government. So how does the town work not just within the town, but also with the neighbors here on the island? So that's kind of the overall vision statement. And then for each of the 9 plan elements that the state requires the plan to have, there's a second level sort of vision that's tailored specifically to that topic. So for natural and ecological resources, there's a more specific vision statement about how those contribute to the town in the future. So I'm not going to read each of those on these slides. These are around the room on the posters at the very top in that sort of gold or yellow box. But what I do want to talk a little bit about is the goals for each of those. So that's the next level down, supporting the vision statement. And each of the topics has between a few and 5 or 6 different goals. And so as we continue to develop the plan, each of those goals then has a set of policies and a set of detailed actions. So it's kind of a nesting structure that gets more detailed as you go down. But for natural and ecological resources, the goals here are about protecting and restoring freshwater and coastal resources and ecosystems, and preserving and protecting the plant and animal ecosystems. So this one and the next one, which is about recreation and conservation, as Steve had said, was one of the things that we heard was really important to people that we heard from in the visioning workshop and the visioning survey. So you see those reflected in the goals. For recreation, conservation, and open space, that topic is focused on maintaining and improving recreational facilities to meet the community's recreation needs and really the community's changing recreation needs. As the population gets older, as family structures change, the recreation needs of today and the next 10 years might look a little bit different than what the community needed for recreation 10 or 20 years ago. So looking at that, assessing what those needs are and responding to them. Then also expanding and enhancing the trail system and preserving and improving coastal access and access to recreational amenities throughout the community. So making sure that there are ways to get to the coast and to recreational places and the trail system that people love, whether it's within one specific area, but also starting to connect some of the different recreation and conservation spaces. Land use is one of these topics, and really all of the topics are interconnected, but land use is really one that ties a lot of them together because it influences economic development, where jobs are located, where natural resources are protected, where recreation facilities are located, types of housing in different parts of the community. So land use and future land use is one particularly important component of the plan. And so the goals here are about supporting, we use the term smart growth redevelopment, but essentially what that means is looking at policies and particularly zoning that encourages development where there's already development today, but it's maybe starting to age out. It's buildings that aren't fully occupied anymore because they're so old or because the need for them has really changed. So looking at redevelopment opportunities in places that are already built up and thinking about how you can have multiple uses close to each other or mixed uses within a building or within a site to help then transportation, help protect the less developed parts of town. So trying to focus development where it already is, to help protect more of the parts of the town that are less developed today. And then that ties into protecting natural resources through sustainable land use planning, and then island-wide collaboration. There's a couple goals and different topics that talk about the town collaborating with your neighbors, because that's a really important part of this. So many things. Land use is one of them. Sustainability and resilience is another. Transportations is another big one, that the town can't do everything by itself. It has to work with its neighbors at more of a regional level. So transportation, as I said, this is one where there are some goals and policies that the town has direct control over and can help to really make a physical change. There are other things that are, again, outside of the town's direct control, things like regional traffic congestion or the transit system. The town doesn't have direct control there. So the goals and the policies and the actions there are much more about advocating for, partnering with, working with your neighbors to help improve or promote those services. So as we get to the draft plan, you'll see that some things are very specific of the town taking action. Others are the town kind of advocating, promoting with other agencies or organizations that are in charge of those. But the big one here is enhancing safety for all modes of transportation, not just drivers, but people who are walking, people who are bicycling, and transit users as well. Part of that is making walking and biking an attractive alternative, particularly for short trips where that's possible within neighborhoods or between neighborhoods and nearby commercial areas to help reduce the number of cars on the road for those short trips. And then promoting transit improvements as another way to create another option, another alternative for people to get around. Economic development, there's a few more goals here, and that is partly just the complexity of the economy and economic development, but the themes of these goals are making sure that Middletown has a diversified economy, one that can be resilient to changes not just happening today, but future changes over the next 10 years. making sure there's collaboration between the businesses and the institutions, as well as the institutions that are providing the workforce and skills training, so that there are local employees, local residents who have the skills to fill some of the jobs here. And then promoting the economic vitality of agriculture. That is something that kind of ties to the character of the town, something that we heard a lot in the visioning phase. As a sector of the economy in terms of dollars or jobs, it's not a huge part of Middletown's economy, but it is important because it's a contributor to that character. And so making sure that continues to be the case. For cultural and historic resources, it's about preserving the town's diverse historic resources and then promoting those and the cultural resources here as part of the town's identity, part of the reason why people want to live here, why people want to move here, and even why employers might want to locate here because of the distinctive historic and cultural amenities that are available. Facility and services, this is sort of a technical topic in the sense that this is very much the services and things that the town provides, but continuing to provide those in cost-efficient ways, well-maintained facilities, especially public safety, that can adapt to current and future needs, and then making sure that high-quality education and education for all ages is part of the town's character and attraction as well. Two more here for housing. These are the goals that were developed in the initial housing focused planning process over last year. And this is really about the supply of affordable and workforce housing, housing that's connected to public transit, housing that's connected to jobs so that employers have housing for the people that work for them. That's an important part of this. And then last but not least, sustainability and resiliency. As Steve mentioned, this is a new element that was not in the current comp plan from 10 years ago. And this is one where island-wide coordination is really important. So that's one of the goals, as well as just proactively preparing for current and future natural hazards. So thinking about the coastal areas, thinking about inland flooding, resiliency to heat events during the summer, things like that. And thinking about resiliency in all aspects of planning and investment. So it's not just environmental, but it's economic resiliency, social resiliency. Are there places, recreation opportunities where people of all ages can come together? So there's a social resiliency aspect as well. So all of that is around the posters here on the room. Really quickly, working towards future land use. As I mentioned, future land use is one topic in particular that really connects all the different parts of the plan together. And what we have in this poster right next to the screen there is a diagram, sort of a first step towards a more detailed future land use map that will be in the plan. But what we did is we looked at the town based on what we heard from the community, based on our own analysis, and we identified places to strengthen, places to transform, which are places that may experience more significant change over the next 10 years, and then importantly, places to enhance, a much more modest level of improvement that's really focused on smaller things that contribute to quality of life primarily, and then places to preserve, where there's really very little change and it's about protecting what is there. And so as you look at this diagram here and on the poster, what you see is that most of the town falls into either enhance or preserve. So places that we want to kind of sustain as they are, to support them, to make improvements where they're needed, but it's not wholesale change. It's not a big transformation. The areas to transform, though, are primarily the commercial corridors, Upper West Main Street, Lower East Main, and the upper part of Aquidneck Avenue. Places where, there are commercial uses, there's more vacancy, there are uses that are maybe beginning to become outdated, and especially over the next 10 years, more sites that may become outdated. And so opportunities there to think about new development patterns. And then places to strengthen, those are places like the Atlantic Beach District, some of the corporate and the business parks, Lower West Main, places that are kind of good today, but need to continue to evolve over the next 10 years. So that's sort of the intermediate level of change there. And then finally, just what's next? Over the summer, we're going to be taking the feedback from tonight and from the online survey to refine and revise all of the goals and policies and action items. We'll be putting together a draft of the future land use map to share this fall at the draft plan open house, which will be the next public event, and then moving into the plan adoption process this winter and into early next year. So that's what's coming up. As Steve mentioned, there will be a survey available on the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee's webpage, probably up there on Monday. We figure not many people are looking to take a survey on a Friday or Saturday. So that'll be up for a couple of weeks. That's the opportunity for people who couldn't be here tonight to respond to these same questions and provide their feedback. So we'd really encourage you to tell your friends and your neighbors about that and make sure they have a chance to participate. And then this is how you can kind of find it on the town's website. So with that, I want to just talk about what we are asking from all of you tonight. As we said, this is really the most important part of the night, is to hear from you and what your priorities are. So you have a series of these posters around the room, and we're going to ask in a couple of different ways to kind of get your input on different parts of this. So over here on the left, the very first poster there, that is the overall broad plan vision statement. And we're going to give you one dot sticker and ask you to stick it in one of those numbered boxes there, 1 to 5, and just let us know generally how much do you agree with the statement. Did we get it pretty close to right? Or do you have ideas, ways that we should maybe think about revising it over the next couple of weeks and months? The next poster there, those are the topic-specific vision statements for each of the 9 topics. And what we're interested there, you'll get 3 colored dots, and this is the only poster where the color of the dot is important. And we're asking you to identify the 3 topics that you think are most important for helping to achieve the vision statement. So this is sort of asking again what we did at the visioning phase, but now that we have a little bit more information, we're curious to see if those same topics emerge as priorities or if anything has changed at all. So, sure.
One has 3 on it, for those 3 colors. So
Yes. Yeah, so that poster there, that's the only one where the colors are important. On the rest of the posters, you can use whatever color you like the most. And what we're asking is for each of the topics to take 3 of the stickers and put them next to the policies that you think are most important for that particular topic. In some cases, the first couple there, like natural resources and conservation recreation, there's a handful of policies, so you'll be able to choose 3 out of, 5 or 6 or 7. For some of these other ones, you're going to have to choose 3 out of, 10 or 12. And so you really do have to prioritize. So for there, it's 3 stickers per topic. For the most part, each topic has 1 poster. The 2 exceptions are over in this corner. Economic development has 2 posters and housing has 2 posters. So take a look at both of those before you start putting your 3 stickers down. So again, color doesn't matter, 3 stickers per topic. And then the last station here, this is the place types that we just talked about to kind of inform future land use. There again, 1 sticker, any color in those numbered boxes there to let us know if that diagram, again, sort of broadly speaking, does it generally reflect your view of the places that should change the most, the strengthen and transform areas? Or if not, you can use sticky notes to let us know what we might change. And so there are sticky notes. That's the other thing. So the dot stickers, that's for kind of identifying your top 3 most important. If you have any other comments, things you think should be added to this, any comments about your particular votes, why you thought those 3 were most important, you can use a sticky note and write those down. So myself, Steve, Alana will be around the rooms at these posters. So if you have questions about what to do with the dot stickers, if you have questions about the policies or anything else, talk to us. We're happy to chat with you and answer any questions. And with that, it just explains everything I just talked about. Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to all start there and stand in a big clump.
Yes, very good point. When you're done, you are free to leave. We won't do any wrap up tonight, which we had done in some of the earlier meetings, just because there's so much feedback to go through. So once you've had a chance to look through everything or look through the topics you're most interested in, you're free to leave. What we'll do then with all of this feedback is we're going to summarize this. In a couple more weeks, once the online survey closes, we will summarize that feedback as well. And we'll create one summary where we share what we heard tonight and online. So you'll have a chance at that point to see what everybody else said, see how well your opinions match up with what, everybody else had to say. So we will be reporting back on all of that. All right. Thank you again very much for your time, and we look forward to chatting with you at the posters. Thanks.
It'd be nice to go back to the place types slide because it has more